Sounds sick, dude. We're all dancing. I think that's the way to start this party, dude. What's
Oh,
up?
love it.
That's how to do it, dude. So, welcome everybody
How's everybody
to
doing?
another late night installment of Dillon in the Dock. We're back. We're back again.
We're back. Night 3.
Night 3 for these old guys staying up late, bringing you all the value. So that's what we do. So,
Oh, how's your night going, man?
dude, golden. It's good. It's a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Kids went to bed easy. That's a shock. That was cool. Kids don't always do that.
Ooh, perfect.
Here we are. Yeah. So, guys, let us know where you're from. We love hearing where you're from. That's part of why we're doing this, is trying to figure out what time to serve you best, depending on where you live, so that, you know, we don't stay up every single night, all week long, all day long, and all night long. Trying to find that sweet spot. So,
Yeah.
let us know in the comments where you're from. And if you haven't been here before, we're going to take your questions for the next hour that are recovery or relationship related, or somewhere in between. So, hello, everybody. What's up? Gabriella.
Jen's back.
Hey, Jen. Had to nap to be here. Nice to see you.
Yes.
And we got Greg. Hey there. Thank you all for being here in this nice late installment.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know, this is Dillon in the Dock. Like I said, we take your questions that are recovery or relationship related because we know a little bit about those things.
A little bit.
A little bit. So I forced Ryan to lead us out last night. So it's probably my turn instead of throwing him on the hot seat. My name's Dillon Reed. I am a professional recovery coach, as it says below my name, sobriety expert. I've logged thousands and thousands of hours being sober now at this point. I suppose that makes me an expert, right? So spent about 20 years drinking. I've got about 3.5 years sober at this point. I've helped thousands of people get sober since I got sober. I work with mostly dads, but I work with a lot of other people too, all across the globe actually at this point. So if you need help getting sober, I know a guy right here that can help you do that.
Heck yeah. I love it. I guess I'll take it away from there.
Yeah, man, it's all you.
I'm Dr. Ryan. Glad to see everybody here. I am a relationship expert and founder of the Relationship Hub, Reigniting the Spark in Your Relationship program. So I really help hardworking couples protect their biggest investment, which is their relationship. Making sure it doesn't stagnate, making sure it grows over time, and making sure they're happy and successful and growing over the long term. So that's kind of what I do. I have experience in interpersonal communication and relationship development. Too many years of education to even mention. And the personal experience that goes along with it as well.
So you spent a number of years in the ivory towers, what you're saying?
I did.
Okay.
I spent a number of years climbing that ivory tower.
Perfect.
just to climb back out and come back out in the real world.
Well, I mean, and isn't that kind of what we do? We try to make our areas of expertise accessible to the masses as best we can.
Yeah, and that was my biggest drive for coming out of academia was I wanted things to be accessible. I was so sick of writing research, doing research to where only other academics had access to it, or they could even, it was just other academics that could understand it. And I wanted to give everybody a chance to benefit from the fruits of all these researchers' labor, which is awesome research, which this is what therapists and stuff are using. But a lot of times they're using outdated stuff. So I stay up to date on all the research, and I wanted to bring that research to the normal person.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Even I deal with that in my area as well. Like a lot of stuff that people base recovery on is antiquated research. Still have people spewing the like, well, if you drink a glass of wine a day, it's good for you stuff. It's like, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
it is not. So it's gotta catch people up, right?
100%. And there's just so many nuggets of information out there that people could use that they just don't have access to.
Yeah, yeah,
Who's going to get a subscription to human communication or
yeah,
JSPR?
totally,
Like, who's going
totally.
to pay $200 a year to read research?
You and me, buddy.
Well, yeah,
And that's where the buck stops, I guess, right?
kind of.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, do I want to take another class this semester so that I get access to all these journals through databases? Yeah, I do. I do. Like it's actually cheaper than getting all these subscriptions if I just do that.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah. Well, cool. I think that covers it. So if you got any questions that are recovery, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were
Oh,
done,
you're
right?
good. You're good.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I mean, if you got any recovery related questions, addiction, I mean, you don't have to be in recovery to ask a good question, right? And any relationship questions, we'll direct them at that guy over there. That guy over there.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
So yeah. Um, we got some questions in the barrel if we want to pull the trigger. What do you think?
We do. Let's get it.
You want to take it out?
Yeah, I can take it out.
You want to bring up I'll bring up the question from last night that we kind of ended with, that difficult conversation thing.
Okay.
So at the end of last night's segment, somebody had asked us a question. How do you bring up difficult conversations with your partner? Which I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear this, to be honest with you. I'm still not good at that. I've learned it's not ignore it for a week or a month or a year.
No,
Nope.
it's definitely not ignored.
Not that one. Dang it. Okay, so it wasn't A.
No.
What other options do we have here?
It's not ignored. You don't attack.
You don't attack. So it's not A or B. Is C where you just stuff it until like 10 things come out at the same time? Is that
No,
the right one?
no. We're getting there. We're getting close.
Man,
You want to bring one thing up at a time.
one thing up at a time. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. So tell us how you do it.
So yeah, so that is the rule. You want to bring up one issue at a time and focus on that. But the biggest thing is how you bring it up. I mean, if you're going to bring up a difficult conversation with your partner, like maybe I'm trying to think of an example from one of my clients. Maybe they didn't do something they said they were going to do. That's about I just go as general as that.
Yeah, because
Right?
you can't give exact.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so you don't want to go after them and say, "Hey, you didn't do this. What's wrong with you?" That's just a verbal attack. It's a judgment on the face, and it's going to shut the entire conversation down. You need to sit down, and you always want to approach it, "Hey, I'd like to have a conversation about something, and this is how I feel." So you say, "I feel," put your feelings in there. I know everybody loves talking about their feelings.
No, we don't. No, we do not.
And this is why these difficult conversations are so hard to bring up, is because guys think it's weak to say I feel this way about something, which is complete BS. You should never think saying you feel a certain way to your spouse is weak. It's not.
Yeah.
Right? I feel disregarded, that you decided to go out to dinner with your friends instead of coming home and having dinner with me. Like, I feel this way, and then you give the description or the event, and then you kind of go into asking underlying questions like, "Hey, I'd appreciate it if maybe next time we talk about it and plan this out a little better."
Yeah.
So it's not an attack on them. You're talking about how you feel.
Yeah.
Once, because
Using the I statements.
the I statements,
Using the I statements. I'm learning stuff from you, man.
once you attack somebody, the conversation is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It it just erodes into arguing and yelling, and people tend to get on. That's when the win lose mindset comes in. Oh, I need to win this argument. No, that is crap. It should be a win-win.
Not what my dad taught me, dude.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's not what my dad taught me.
He got divorced. So I don't know. You know, there's that. I don't know.
But
Sorry, Dad.
when you do these things this way, man, the relationship sails so smooth
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're addressing one thing and that thing's out of the way. Now you've opened up, you can talk about other things, not at the same exact time, probably, but you have a way to talk about them.
Yeah, because you said one thing at a time. That's how
Yeah.
that was how you preface this.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing at a
Yeah.
time, not everything.
Also, just carrot real quick. I've never asked my dad for relationship advice, so I threw him under the bus there for fun. I just want to make it clear to everyone, just in case he's listening to these, which he could be. He didn't tell me to do that. Okay, so there you
Man,
go.
the greatest advice I ever got, and this came down from my great grandma years
Oh,
ago, and
okay.
I can remember it as a kid, and I still apply it. I mean, I wrote an entire entrance essay for my master's program based on this one statement, and
Okay.
that statement is shut up and listen. You'll learn more that way.
My dad did give me that advice, by the way. I did get that. It wasn't about a relationship though.
But
But
when you put it into context of a relationship, it's not necessarily about shutting up, but it's about listening.
yeah,
You want to
it's
listen to understand. Like if you're just talking to talk, you're not going to get anywhere. Ask questions. Hey, like where are these feelings coming from? Um, is there something I could have done differently to make this not happen the way it happened?
that whole seek first to understand, then be
Yeah.
understood kind of concept, right?
Yeah, there's these concepts that
Yeah.
are on the face, they're real easy, but in the moment, we get caught up in
Right.
that. We get caught up in that, "Oh, I just need to win this. Oh, I need to let them know that they did something wrong."
Yeah, because I mean, I have a whole book full of useful maxim and tenets. It just doesn't mean that I use them in my day to day life, right? I know all of the platitudes. They just don't usually get practice. I mean, I don't say not usually, but I still need some polishing. We'll put it that way.
It takes practice. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something that's just gonna happen overnight. It takes
Mm.
practice to catch yourself in the moment, to not say that one judgmental or that one snippy comment or that one dismissive comment. Um,
Hey, I think this is like right about it, man.
yeah. What's that, Jacqueline?
Yeah.
I'd love to learn to take comments about my drinking antics as humorous as others found them instead of feeling hurt, which I think comes from embarrassment. Why can't I brush it off
Dude,
instead of feeling attacked?
this one.
I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, because there's like a couple different. A lot of our drinking comes from shame. In the end, it's a really weird concept. We're like ashamed about our drinking, and then we drink because we're ashamed, and we end up in this weird cycle of shame, guilt, blame thing going on, right? And
Mhm.
then when we get sober, it doesn't really end necessarily. Um, I'm going to share an example because I have an example kind of like this, right? So uh, at one point in time, I did go to rehab, and when I went in, I blew really, really high on my BAC because they test you when you come in. I had been drinking that day, right?
Mhm.
And I was like super proud, like it was this badge of honor of how drunk I was when I showed up to this rehab. And like halfway through the treatment program, I was super embarrassed about it. Like, I didn't think it was cute or funny or cool anymore, but most of the other residents still thought it was cool. Like it was made me cool.
Uh-huh.
So you'd have these guys who would come in, they would be like, "Yeah, I just blew this, right?" And then we'd be like at lunch or something, and they'd like point at me and they'd be like, "Yeah, that guy over there, he blew this," and they're like, "Dang," And I thought it was so cool until it wasn't, because then I just realized it was kind of gross. So I can definitely understand what that's like, because then it just hurt me every time somebody'd bring that up, and it's still the same way. Like, somebody will tell this like story of some time that I got like legendarily drunk and did something that everyone thought was hilarious. It usually left scars on my body. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
got hurt somehow. And now they just like hurt because I'm way better about it now. I think, Jacqueline, it kind of comes with time, to be completely honest with you. Um, as we get more comfortable in sobriety, we'll never close the chapter of our lives. Like, we can close it. We're not going to close the book on it, though. Like, there will be times when we have to open the book up, or somebody opens that book up to the page for us. But we kind of can get to a point where we're okay with it, understanding that it doesn't matter how old we are. And like, I'm still a young pup, right? But we're still maturing constantly. Like, I know 56-year-old people that are still growing up, right? We're all growing up all through every stage of our life. So, do you feel embarrassed about when you were like 5 and couldn't ride a bike yet, or when you were 10 and you couldn't do this, or just all these things from when we were younger? We don't usually feel shame or any sort of embarrassment about those things. So I just highly recommend that you approach it that way. You were young. You were younger than you are today. That's the reality, right? And you've learned since then. So there's
Yeah.
no reason to feel embarrassed about a learning lesson that you had, um, unless you hold on to it. So
Oh,
that's my take. What do you think?
100%. The embarrassment, when I get embarrassed by something, it's usually because I've done something out of character.
Yeah.
And it it it's more about, I'm embarrassed because of other people's perception of me, somebody else's perception. They don't really think of it as really that funny, but it's just me holding on to what other people think of me too much.
Totally.
And I try to let that go. Obviously, when you're putting as much stuff out on social media as you and I do, you've got to grow some thick skin, because everybody has an opinion of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people don't even put like polarizing stuff on the internet, is because they don't want that fear, that embarrassment of, oh, maybe I said something wrong, maybe I wasn't right about this. So if you've done something, or if I've done something, I have to take ownership of it. And it's my taking ownership of it that kind of gets rid of that embarrassment, or that thought that other people are thinking poorly of me for some reason.
Yeah. 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 And I think one thing that I teach the clients I work with is that most of what people say or think about us has nothing to do with us unless we let it. Like,
Yeah.
if we have an insecurity somewhere, even if it's a little, if somebody says something and we're offended by it, it's because we have some thoughts, some unresolved thoughts about that thing. But the more sober we become, the more self aware we become, the more time we spend being mindful of our thoughts and
Mhm.
our behaviors and our
Yeah.
actions. It's pretty hard it's pretty hard to perturb me, unless you're my kids at this point, or my wife's okay too. But like, most people, it doesn't matter what you say to me. It's like, I know where I'm at, I know what I'm doing, and your opinion of me doesn't really matter a whole lot,
Yeah.
because I know where I stand with
Mhm.
myself, and that's
Yeah.
what matters, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if that's helpful. A little tail end on that, that wouldn't hurt. Um, I
I
think we're
think
done with that one.
yeah, I think this other question really kind of gets to it. Um,
Oh, hey, we already answered that. Oh,
oh,
hey, what do you know?
this one,
Oh, dude.
because we just talked about embarrassment, but also then, like, this is creating embarrassment for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think to
So
kind of
I want to let you I'm gonna let you start this one. Excuse me, sorry.
Why does my partner shame me for drinking but continues to drink heavily? It's because to me, it's because they want you in that same pit of desperation as they want. Misery loves company.
Oh, dude, I seriously need this soundboard. I seriously need the soundboard. And I think I did this stream thing today. I think I might do that tomorrow and just be like ding 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 ding. Cause like that's I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it right there.
Yeah, misery loves company. When it comes to drinking, I would say stop really caring what he thinks about your drinking
Yeah.
if that's keeping you unhealthy.
Um.
I mean, you've got to look out for you. And if he's going to drink heavily, he's going to act out like this because he wants somebody there with him doing these same stupid things, whatever the case may be. But he's not growing, he doesn't want you to grow.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
finally do start growing, he's going to see some really cool stuff happen to you, and that's when he's going to want to kind of change his ways.
Yeah. Ideally, I mean, ideally
Ideally,
that's the
yeah.
way it works, right?
Yeah.
Um.
What's your take on it?
Man, story time, dude. This takes me back, dude. So my wife does it. She's not really a drinker. Like she'll drink, but
Mhm.
she's not a drinker. From what I understand, not even understand. I know she drank quite a bit. Not quite. I mean, she was never a problem drinker, but she drank more when like before I was with her.
Okay.
Um, but I hate Fireball. Okay. I
Okay.
always hated Fireball. My wife would drink Fireball. I like just straight whiskey. So I started like buying Fireball and then like have a secret bottle of my whiskey somewhere in the house.
Uh-huh.
But I could get her to drink some Fireball with me. So then I could have whiskey on my breath. And there was like no her knowing that I was drinking like whiskey somewhere else, right?
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I wasn't shaming her, but it plays into this whole thing where another thing I think that your partner might be doing is like, if you're drinking, you can't say anything to him about his drinking. I mean, you can, but it doesn't come from a very solid foundation once you're drinking also, right? Does that
Mhm.
make sense? So it's like, if I could get my wife to drink with me, then she couldn't really like get mad at me for drinking because she's drinking, right? I'm like, whatever, you're doing it, babe. Like, come on. So I think there's part of it that has something to do with that. Could be. You know, I don't like to make assumptions about what's going on in people's heads, but
Yeah.
that's just another perspective of what might be going on.
What is I
What do you
wonder if
think?
I wonder if I like that. I wonder if Jeff can expand on this, saying that one thing we need to remember that inner thoughts are not to be demonized. The awareness of it leading to going too far is the fine line. It's often not worth it.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I hear him about the first part. I'm not sure what he means about the awareness leading to going too far. Does that make is that where you're at too?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, if Jeff, if you want to drop us a comment, kind of let us know a little bit more what's going on there. Um, what do you got? What you want to do? For those of you that are just showing up to the stream, um, my name is Dylan Reed. I am a professional recovery coach. Help people get sober. And this guy over here is Dr. Ryan, and he's a professional relationship coach. And we're here to take questions for about another half an hour or so about recovery and relationships. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments and we will answer them. If you don't drop any questions, we've got some from our experience that we're sharing and helping people navigate. What do you think? Should we take another question while we wait for Jeff to kind
Yeah,
of clear things out? We didn't miss anything, did we? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. We've got a couple more about keeping the romance alive. Um,
Hey, I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna do
stabilizing
this.
again.
Um, Greg, are you in here? If he's in, I want to maybe get to his question. I want to get to his question tonight. If he was in here, I'd take it now. We'll go
Yeah,
ahead and let you.
Greg's in here, Greg Black.
Okay, cool. Well, I think I might do that. What do you think? You cool with that?
Yeah, let's hit it.
I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. All right,
All
everybody.
right.
Let's see. Boom. Because I already discussed this. So I know you've already been to rehab at least once. However, my impression is that rehab isn't what saved you. Give us your honest opinion, thoughts about rehab. Okay. So, yeah, you're right. I have done the rehab detox thing at least once in my life. And so my honest opinion and thoughts, all this stuff, like I said, I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can. It isn't what saved me. I don't think rehab saves anybody. My basis for that is statistics. It's not even just my anecdotal experience. It is the statistics that any recovery program will have people that come in it that are intractable. That's just for that program. That doesn't mean the individual cannot be saved. I don't believe in that. But I believe that we all kind of need the thing that we need to hear the things that we need to hear to make the choices we need to make change, right? And that doesn't mean I have had clients that are movie producers that have spent $250,000 a month to go to rehab. You know, people that have spent 5 figures a month to have people live with them to help them stay sober and have had troubles doing so, right? So it's not really just how that works necessarily. I can count the number of people that I've been to rehab with that are still sober today on one hand, like
Wow.
on 3 fingers, actually, myself included. Okay. And that's with almost 100 people that I was in it with. So we're looking at like a 3% success rate, right?
Yeah.
And this is, I don't want anyone to think I'm disparaging rehabs. I'm just sharing my experience and the statistics involved. My honest opinion is I think they're great. Truly. Even with a terrible number like that, they're great because you get a lot of tools in a kind of condensed amount of time. But the rehab can't make you use the tools. That's the whole thing, right? That's the thing people need to understand. Just like my coaching, I haven't had like a miserable failure of a client. By the way, if you were my client and you didn't get through it, I would not consider you a failure. But just so we're all aware, I haven't had somebody not have good results. But if I did have somebody that didn't have good results, is it my fault? Is it their fault? Somewhere in between? I don't really know. So I'm not going to say it's rehab's fault if the person doesn't end up sober. And I'm not going to 100% say it's just the person too. It can be a mix crossing of signals somewhere, right? That's why somebody might need rehab a couple times to get the thing that they want, right? But my most honest opinion about all of it is I think it's kind of gross at this point because of the cost and how inaccessible it is in this country for people to get access to rehab. You know, one of my stays was like 35 grand, completely drained retirement accounts, multiple accounts to go. So that sucks a lot.
Yeah.
But I know people that have gone to rehab and they're sober. So that's cool too. You know, so it's like, I can't really throw it under the bus and I can't totally sing its praises. It's just another place to get tools that you will or will not use in your life, right? Like you get from it what you put in and what you take with you. Is that fair? I mean,
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like you have to actually do the work afterwards as well.
Dude, you caught me. Yeah.
It's not the rehab that's going to keep you sober.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, the people that I know that I was in rehab with that are still sober really wanted it, you know. But the thing too, like what saved me wasn't rehab, right? It was the choices I made after I got out and continue to make.
Yeah.
You know, I know like legitimately groups of people that were in that rehab together that went and relapsed together. Like as a collective group went and decided to go like drink and do drugs. That's not good choices when you get out, right? I could have just as easily done that because I knew all those people. I had their phone numbers. I could have gone with them, you know. And then it was interesting because one of the guys was like trying to tell one of the girls there's no way I was sober and happy. Like there's no way he's like that. I'm like, no, that's really what I'm like, you know. They're like, he must be doing drugs on his own. It's like, first of all, I wasn't there for drugs, but you know, whatever. But yeah, it's a weird thing. So what saved me is like I still exercise, I still get sleep, I still eat well, and I keep making the next right choice, as best I can. Anyways, right?
Y- Yeah, so it really does. I like what Jeff was saying. It takes reflection and control to ultimately succeed. It does
Yeah,
take a lot of self reflection, self awareness. I would say
yeah.
um, same things that it takes to have a healthy relationship: self
Another
awareness and
intersection.
self control, self awareness.
That's funny how that works out.
It is.
Because I mean that is really it. Like I have had infinite number of opportunity. Well, not infinite because words mean things, but I've had a lot of opportunities to drink since I got sober.
Hmm.
I'm of legal age. I didn't catch charges. Like I didn't go to rehab because I had to. I was never on any sort of like paper that said I couldn't drink. I could have drank the minute I got out of rehab, right?
Yeah.
Um, I chose not to. But at the same time, I would also point out I spent time, and this will be a story for another day, but I spent time in a detox rehab short term facility, and I went and bought booze like within like an hour probably of getting out. It was a horrible experience. I did not get any tools while I was there. And it wasn't just me; it was the program. Like the program didn't give me any cool things to take home to help me like stay sober. It just got me sober, forced me to
Mm.
get sober, and then was like, "Put there you go, figure it out. Go have a good one." Also, thanks for your money. So it's just that's why I don't like rehabs and detoxes and stuff because of that spin cycle. You go figure it out. But yeah, I'll share that story at some point. But it's kind of a long one, so I'll leave it for not tonight. Um, so I hope that answered that. I did want to do something real quick. I apologize. There was like a follow up on that one, and I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. Do you remember what the follow up question was by chance?
I
I'm gonna pull it up real quick, just because I want to leave that part out. Oh, the role of rehab and others that have interacted with or coached. I think I actually hit that pretty well. Um, I've actually a lot of the people I coach have been to rehab a couple times. Um, they didn't get what they wanted. That's why they come to me. Or
mhm.
they've tried AA that didn't work out. They come to me. They've tried other options. They end up coming to me because they didn't work. Um, yeah, and I definitely talked about the role of rehab with the people that I went with. It didn't help. I mean, it might have helped, but they're not sober. So there we go. I think I think that's it. I mean, I don't know. Do you blame the person? Do you blame the rehab, or do you blame both, or do we blame anyone? I mean, what do we do with that? They're learning. They're on their own time. They're figuring it out, right?
Well, and the problem I have with that is the blame.
Dude, yeah, yeah,
There has to be some accountability had by these rehab places, but you have to hold these individuals accountable as well. They have to be accountable for their own actions. They can't play the victim constantly or play the blame game.
totally, totally. And I mean that my program is a program of empowerment. That's what it's all about. It is about putting responsibility on your shoulders. If we're gonna blame the rehab for everything, if we're gonna blame the substance for everything, if we're gonna blame our childhood trauma for everything, if we're gonna blame all these things for everything, then there's no sense in ever getting better
Mhm.
because we always have a reason to go like, well, this is why I'm broken. I don't care, right? I just don't buy into that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like this mean coach that yells at you or something, but um, I'm real quick to call a spade. And when you show up and you've got this like excuse, most of my clients at this point, when they give me an excuse, they'll catch themselves like in the middle of a sentence. Like, I know that's just an excuse. I'm like, there, you're learning something, like, hey, um, so yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I do know there's rehabs that are horrible.
Well,
It,
yeah.
that there is that, but there's also an unwillingness to get better in some of the patients and clients, right? So
Y- Yeah, I mean, I treat it similar to relationships. there's some relationships that aren't worth saving. That's just the hard truth. Like the uh the facilities, right? They aren't worth what they are giving out.
Totally.
There are some people who are not taking or being held accountable. They're not taking responsibility for their actions in the relationship to make it what it is. When you can
Yeah.
get both things in line, things tend to work.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's like, I don't want to like disparage state sponsored facilities, but that's kind of some of the worst, where you have state funding. It's keeping this hospital alive. It's used a lot by court systems, like court mandated stuff. Um, a lot of like student therapists, nothing against people learning
Mhm.
and trying to get better. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason the high dollar ones do cost high dollar sometimes. Also, they don't always have the greatest, recovery rate either, because that's it. And then also, sometime we should get into the statistics thing. I'd love to. I might make that a segment. I should probably write that down and make that a segment in the future, because it's really weird and kind of messed up how they decide how long some, kind of like, I don't, if you ever looked into like cancer statistics, like what makes you a survivor and stuff.
Mhm.
It's like if you've been cancer free for a certain number of years, then you are qualified as being a survivor. And
Uh-huh.
even if 2 days later it showed back up, you're still in the statistic of being a survivor, right? Like
Yeah.
the same thing here. Like, how do you track? How do you get adequate statistics about a facility's recovery rate? And then there's spontaneous. There's all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but
Yeah. I
um,
mean, yeah.
I'm going to note
It's
it.
it's
Note
hard
it.
to get it's hard to get statistics about a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
People aren't going to say it. You can't infidelity. It's really hard to get an accurate statistic about how many people are cheating.
Why? I don't understand that.
They're
Why?
weird. There
Why, dude?
it's really hard to get an accurate statistic on children being raised by fathers who aren't biologically their father, and the father doesn't know it.
Yeah,
It's as high as 2%. They do know that,
yeah, yeah.
but
Weird,
you
weird.
can't get an accurate, right, unless you did a DNA test on every single
You're telling me people would
married
lie
couple.
about that? You're
Oh,
telling me people would
weird.
lie about that?
Weird.
Or like, you go to rehab and the place calls you a year later for like a customer satisfaction survey. Like, are you sober still? You're like half a pint deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure am. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, did we ever get Jeff? It looks like he kind of hashed that out. Do we want to get to Jeff's
Yeah.
explanation a little bit here?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no, it's too short or too long,
You
dude.
finally
No.
get to the point to where you realize all the lowest points in your life most likely have something involving alcohol. We refuse to be alcoholics. You finally get to the point to where
Alcohol's
you
B. Yeah, I like that. Refuse to be alcohol's B. So
finally get to the point to where you realize all the lowest points in your life most likely have something involving alcohol.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. Um, Barring stupid trivial stuff when I was a child, yes, I would have to agree. Um, but it's strange, like sometimes it doesn't seem to be enough for people, right? Um, Obviously, or people would never die from drinking,
Mhm.
because it's not like they're not aware of what's going on. Like the science shows they know what's going down. They just don't
Yeah.
do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Getting hit by a train today, don't care. Um, but I see what he's saying. Um,
I do too. So I equate this to when I coach people through breakups, because we've talked a lot on the show about breaking up with alcohol. I think this holds true. And there's certain things you want to do in a breakup to try to get over it maybe a little bit quicker because they're difficult. One of the things you want to do is remember all of the negative times, because when we go through a breakup, we tend to think about all the positive stuff.
yeah,
So all the happy times, all the good things that happen, instead of the terrible things. Second thing you want to do is you want to create new experiences in new places for just you that don't include that other person. Go out
Yeah,
and make these experiences. Next thing you want to do is physical touch, because like get a massage because it releases endorphins.
totally.
So there, it seems like you could do a lot of that. I don't know about the alcohol side, but it seems like kind of what he's saying, right? You finally get to the point where you realize all your lowest points in life. Like that is the time when you're realizing all the negative things that actually happened instead of glorifying what
Dude.
once was.
Yep. Yeah. I always make people write a pro and con list if they're at that, that kind of jump off where because I'll have clients that I don't know, I don't expect them to get sober immediately. Like it doesn't always work that way. Some of them it
Yeah.
might take a couple weeks of working with them to where they get to the point where they're confident and comfortable enough getting sober. Um, on that way, they'll it's like, man, I'm gonna text my ex because I'm lonely, like that's what it's like with him. And I'm like, okay, well then what was so good about alcohol? And then now let's talk about how you feel. Like how you
Yeah.
really feel. Like how do you feel right now as you're hungover on this call? How do you feel? And then you tell me what alcohol used to be.
Mhm.
How does that compare? And every time the con list is much larger than the pros. And it's like, also, when was the last time alcohol made you feel that way about yourself? Same with a relationship with somebody you're with. Like, when was the last time they actually made you feel those butterflies when you had broke up with them? Like,
Yeah.
don't go back.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Um, so yeah,
Oh, because they don't ask the right questions.
I think I'm gonna actually boom.
You're gonna pop one up there. Stats are all over the map because they don't ask the right questions.
I mean, there's something to that,
Yeah,
depending on
yeah,
who's.
there's something there, but the problem is you can't get, because everything's so anonymous, you can't get people to answer the correct questions
Yeah.
truthfully.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you did research in college,
Oh,
university, in order to get where you're at.
little,
You
I got a couple publications, just a little
yeah,
bit.
you send some surveys out, and you get like 10% of them back that you sent out that are filled out, and of that 10%, a percentage of those you have to toss out because people didn't do it correctly. Um,
Well, and I mean, once you get into the methodology, there's ways to weed out the people who don't answer stuff correctly, like the people who just go 111 555 444 because you ask specific questions in the middle or in a specific order, that you can quickly see that this is not a good piece of data.
yeah, yeah,
So it's not necessarily the questions, but it's also the questions you can ask, because some of these are protected populations. So if you wanted to get people who maybe got clean and were in prison, or if they're in a mental institution, or if they're housed by the state or something, or if they're pregnant, they're protected classes. You can't,
yeah,
you can, but it takes a lot to even ask them a question.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Jacqueline, thanks for showing up when you say you were going to. I attempted 2 online AA meetings today and neither started. Thankful I was not early in my sobriety and really needed a meeting and hadn't developed skills. Hey,
You're
Jacqueline,
welcome.
you're welcome. When we say we're going to be here, we're going to be here.
Yeah, like I don't know. I like we like doing this, or we
Yeah,
wouldn't be here. I mean, we like working with you, all of you.
yeah,
Like that's like this is not a begrudging. I make jokes about being old and being tired, but like realistically, this really energizes me. That's what is like the worst part about this is like when we get done here, I should go to sleep, but I'm like, yeah, that was so cool. And then I don't want to go to sleep. So it's just me not I still have to get up early. It doesn't matter what time I go to bed. I'm an adult. I don't get to keep sleeping in. So it's just life. Did you want to hit one? We got that.
Yeah, we can hit one.
You want
What do you want?
how do couples keep the romance alive, or do you want to do the relationship with your spouse stabilizing again? What do you want to do?
I mean, they're both kind of one and the same. We can do one right after the other.
Okay, man. Well, then I'll start this because they're
Start
talking
it.
to you right here, right down there. You do it.
Right there. Doc, does the relationship with your spouse stabilize again? The drinking spouse was absent mentally during their drinking, so the relationship sort of stalled. How can it be re-energized? This is my entire program, if you're wondering. Not the sobriety part, but the re-energized. The relationship reigniting the spark. Yes, 100%. It can be re-energized. So what has happened is growth has stagnated in the relationship, but also growth has stagnated individually. So the things we do to get you back on track are to, one, get a self-care plan in place, increase communication, teach you how to manage conflict just a little bit better. So we're looking at open and direct communication. We're looking at decreasing harmful generalizations, active listening, not being defensive, and respecting kind of boundaries. So we're setting boundaries. And then from there, we move into, hey, you know what? Intimacy. Intimacy was lost when, I'm guessing, the relationship stalled, right? It's a complete stall of everything. And intimacy is so much more than sex. It's talking to one another. It's spending time with one another. It is the hugging. It's the kissing. It's being affectionate. It's the small gestures during the day. There's so much to intimacy that people miss out on when they have a stalled or stagnant relationship, which to me, it just kind of goes hand in hand when you do one thing after the other, being when you work on yourself and get better, i.e., you get sober, when you get a self-care plan together, when you're talking better to yourself, when you're setting personal goals, you can then start to work on the communication in the relationship where you can talk about your goals together, where you can have hard conversations with one another. Like, hey, I'm kind of worried that you might drink when you fly up to Casper. I'm gonna be talking to you. I'm gonna be calling you 10 times more than I usually do. Right? You can have these hard conversations that don't turn into this huge argument.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Because you learn how to do it. And then after that, you continue, right? You develop these habits that become second nature, and you can develop and grow together into the future by kind of putting it in a rinse and repeat cycle. So you're relearning who you are, who your partner is, what the relationship is, and you're regrowing it. So yes, it can be re-energized.
You're welcome.
100%. I mean, that is, I wish I could, maybe some other time I can pull up the exact storyline of my program, and it fits this exact storyline that you're talking about, from stagnant to re-energized.
Well, then you should do that, and one of these times we'll make it part of your segment, right?
Yeah, we can pull that up.
Yeah. So then you just want to segue right into the into the next one.
Yeah, into here.
Okay.
How can couples?
Well, sorry, dude.
How can couples keep the romance alive?
Cooks in the kitchen, everybody. Sorry.
How can couples keep the romance alive and maintain a strong emotional connection over time? What role does self-improvement play in the health of a relationship? Self-improvement plays a crucial role in the overall health of a relationship. My saying, it's at the bottom of all my emails and everything, couples do not simply grow apart, they fail to grow together. And they fail to grow together because they stop improving themselves. They stop becoming better versions of themselves. They stop growing as individuals. So how do you keep the romance alive and maintain that strong emotional connection? Dude, as cliche as it sounds, you never stop dating each other. You never stop learning about each other. Here's the thing, people grow over time, as you should. And if you're not continually learning about that person, the emotional connection is going to fizzle out.
Yeah.
So this is like, I have a love map game I give everybody. And love maps are a huge thing in keeping the relationship healthy. You want to make sure once a month, I tell all my clients, once a month, you sit down and talk about what you like, what you dislike, what you're passionate about, and what you desire, because those things change so often. My favorite podcast isn't the podcast I was listening to or was my favorite 5 years ago. My favorite show is not the same one. My favorite color changes. My favorite food depends on my mood. Like, all these things continually change, right? My goals are changing. And if you're not keeping up on that with your partner, emotional intensity is going to wane off. So never stop dating each other, and always continue to get to know one another.
And your goals are changing because you're achieving them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, twofold. Goals change because you achieve them, or because you've identified a hidden obstacle and you need to transverse that goal a little bit to still hit it, but just in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. Reevaluate.
Yeah.
You know, that smart goals system, you know,
Reevaluate those bad boys.
yeah, that's how it goes.
So yeah, you can keep the romance alive, and self-improvement is paramount to the health of a relationship.
I would agree. I'm not the relationship guy, but from my personal experience, yeah. Like, I'm taking my wife on a date on Saturday for our anniversary. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait. She has no idea what we're doing.
By the way, the relationship reunion is based on trust. Partially.
Yeah.
I'll give you a partial one on that, Jeff.
Partial credit. You got a 70%.
Signing out, being your best self, but yet yourself with awareness. Love it. Yes. Being yourself.
I'm all about it.
Love that statement.
So
let's hit one of these other ones.
What do you want?
Oh, did we get through all those?
No, man. I mean, we'll never get through all the questions. It's not possible. I was just looking at what time it is.
We got 7 minutes.
Let's see. Wait, maybe we did. At least the ones that are written up here. I think we got through all of them. But I think there's one thing that we skipped over.
We did?
Yeah, sir. I'm so sorry. Leah, right here. Have
you had any therapy in that?
So the shame cycle, being in that shame cycle and drinking. Yeah, I mean, I still go to therapy, like for a different reason. I don't go to therapy for my drinking, but I think therapy is an important part of life, you know, because what you're doing is your time traveling experience is what's going on. You know, you're pulling from the experience of others into your life, so you don't have to like live and learn it, because it ain't always live, laugh, love sometimes when it comes to those things.
Oh,
so therapists are pretty useful at that point. I can say that my therapy was helpful every time I allowed it to be. I'll tell you, I spent more time in sessions with therapists that weren't useful, but it had nothing to do with the therapist. It had everything to do with me being non-compliant as a client, you know, like I'm not there to get better. I'm there to like feel better about myself by being
Mhm.
there, not to actually heal, just to be like, well, I did the thing. So obviously I'm not broken because I lied to the person and they said that I wasn't broken. Therefore, I'm not broken. Um, and just, you know, move on. But I think therapy is useful for you if you allow it to be. Right? Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yeah. You get out of therapy what you need and what you put into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Also,
mean,
therapy is not applicable for everything on my side, on the relationship side. um, I like to take people where they are and give them the tools to move forward rather than dredging up the past. And therapy tends to dredge up the past, dredge up a lot of harmful feelings and stuff without giving them the tools during the time to help them.
yeah. Yeah. I'm with you there. I mean, I had a guy recently that was telling me that in like the month we've worked together, he's gotten more than what he's gotten from like 10 months with a therapist. I don't know anything about their relationship.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, qualify that statement other than it was a statement that was said to me. Right. Um, but I think that that is a big thing that needs to be addressed when it comes to substance use. Like if you're going to see a therapist for your drinking, it better be an addictions therapist. Like it bet you need to go see someone that's specialized in that.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to end up spending a year digging up childhood traumas and probably continuing to drink through that process to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, which isn't, I mean, it's not healthy, but it does line somebody's pockets the whole entire time. And I'm not calling out therapists, by the way. Don't at me. I'm not, I'm not being rude. I've seen that with many people that I've worked with. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the same thing on the relationship side. And you and I have talked about it. Therapists, a lot of times they're preparing you for divorce. It's like a preparation period.
Yep.
They don't see that something can be fixed or that there's tools out there, which is why I stay completely up to date on all of the research. And I know that there is salvage in the majority of relationships.
Yep.
And I know a way to get there.
Yep. I want to hit Greg's real quick. Is that cool with you?
100%.
Um, I know we're getting close, but so Greg, so we are clear. This time, yes, but not every time. That's what I was getting at. Is that for some of us, in some occasions, you go to rehab and you stay sober after that. But I also had experiences where I went and got the help and got out and went and drank. So that's why I say that I can't say it's rehab that saved me. Because
Yeah.
why didn't it why wasn't I better the other times I went and got the help? Right? Why this time? What was different? I don't know. I mean that's kind of my take on it. I don't have a I wish I could I don't know. People ask me this question frequently. Like how did you get sober? And how much time do you got? You know, like it's not a I don't know. I don't have a panacea that solves it for you. It's just not a thing. Um yeah.
A
So
hard time finding an addiction specialized therapist.
I don't know where you're at. Um, you know how to get a hold of me. Uh, this person's in the Discord in the
Mhm.
sobriety survival server. You know how to get a hold of me. If you let me know where you're at, I can see if I can help. Um, but I don't know. I mean, from the interactions I've had with this person, they're smart. So I feel like they have just as good a shot as I do. But you feel free to reach out to me. I'll see if I can help. Um,
I like it.
I think that's a wrap, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We've got people falling off left and right.
Yeah, me. And then as soon as we stop this broadcast, I will wake back up. Trust me, that's what's happened every night this week so far. It's okay. I'm used to it at this point. I'll get some work done. It'll be fine.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah. We really enjoy you guys spending your evening with us.
100%. It was great hanging out with everybody. Great seeing all of you in here. We have a bunch of people that continually hop in here and hang out, and it's a great community.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, same time. We'll be here at 10 Central.
Yep, 10 Central, 9
Mountain, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern.
There you go. Hit it all.
I'm not going to go any further than that because I'll probably make some mistakes. Don't at me when I make mistakes. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Dillon Reed, recovery coach. I'm going to get this finger thing right eventually. Dr. Ryan Rasner, relationship coach. And this was Dillon in the dock. Loved being here. So we'll catch you next time.
See you on the other side.
Bye.